This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wrestling Omakase. It is episode number 137, and this week, as we discussed on the end of last week's episode, Thomas is indeed back. Hello, Thomas.
Yeah, we worked out, the big money contract for another Omakase appearance, and so I'm back.
Yeah. I guess I want to start off by saying right off the bat that if this episode sounds weird at all, it's because I have to use my backup recorder, because apparently so many people are using Jitsi and stuff like that, the thing I use to record normally. I guess there's so many people usually are starting podcasts or recording meetings or whatever the fuck that Jitsi is just like, we're done. It just will not, no matter how many times I sit here and hit start recording, it just will not record. It tells me all recorders are currently busy with which actually I'm realizing after I started already that Iron Mike Spears of Everything Elite and Open the Voice Gate actually tried to warn everybody about in the Slack, and I completely forgot. But until I started trying to record, but I do have a backup recorder anyway, so hopefully this sounds okay. It makes me paranoid because I don't normally have to use it, but when I just tested it out again, it sounded fine. So hopefully this sounds okay, or at least as okay as we normally sound. But yeah, how you doing, Thomas? It's a great week here in the old US of A.
Well, I mean,
where are you
I'm glad at least one of us is optimistic.
You're like in Virginia, right?
Yes.
So you guys don't have a total shutdown or anything yet?
No, we don't. It'll be soon though, because I think Maryland already did. Yeah. So we'll get there soon enough.
Here in New York, everything is shut down. We're not even supposed to leave our houses unless it's like to walk our dogs or have solitary exercise. Like the governor came out and was like, exercise outside means walking by yourself. It doesn't mean playing basketball with 5 people. So I'm like, see, city kids playing basketball, you're on notice, apparently. I don't know. But, I mean, I get it. I'm not trying to make fun of it because we need this, because otherwise we're all going to die. We all might die anyway, because that's the cheery outlook. Things are in here in New York. But in the meantime,
they finally closed the bars, yeah?
Yeah, well, the bars have been closed for a few days. Like the last, the latest like shutdown was more like I think 3 days ago they said the bars and restaurants had to close except for like takeout and delivery. Of course, they immediately added you could take out alcohol, you could deliver alcohol, because I'm like, otherwise these people are gonna go crazy. And then a few days later now, the new shutdown is more like, non-essential stores are shut down now. So fucking GameStop trying to call themselves essential, they can't get away with that anymore. If your offices have to go to 100% work from home unless you're, quote unquote essential, which, my office had already pretty much done that. Like I worked from home all week this week, but before that, I think the regulation was like 50% work from home and then like 75% work from home. And now it's just like, stay the fuck home. So that's where we're at. I don't know how long it's going to be. In my head, I'm telling myself at least 2 months, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, real fun.
Yeah, there was Cuomo, the next president, was saying it's going to be like 45 days until the peak.
Yeah.
God.
It's really terrible.
I saw your that tweet that you quoted was tremendous.
Yeah, because like basically New Yorkers normally fucking hate our governor Andrew Cuomo because he's always fucking around with the MTA and telling us basically to fuck off for wanting the MTA fixed and everything. But just having like a normal sounding human being come on TV to tell us like, you know, this sucks, but we're trying and everything will be okay is like such a contrast to, I don't know if you've been watching these presidential fucking reports or whatever. I have not been watching them, but I still end up seeing clips and hearing people quotes on Twitter where he comes on, he's like, the Target. I can't do a Donald Trump impression. I don't know why I'm going to try it, but like he's just like he's naming brands. He's like Walmart and the Target and the blah blah blah. I'm like, please, can you shut the fuck up? Like, it's bad enough that we're all locked in our homes. Please stop putting this fucking man on television and have him speak to us. So yes, Andrew Cuomo, in comparison, looks like presidential because anybody can look presidential next to the actual fucking president. So that's what we're all living through right now. We're all living through hell here in America. If you're a non-American listener, things suck in lots of places. I mean, if you're listening from Italy, I'm sorry for complaining because it's like even worse over there. And my I had to stop reading updates on Italy because it was starting to make me feel like physically ill. But, it's like it is really horrifying out there right now. And meanwhile, Japan is like trying to bring back some wrestling. I mean, that was when DDT announced they were coming back, and then like Noah announced it, and basically all Japan. Stardom, everybody except New Japan has now either announced they're coming back, or they're coming back either eminently or like they have come back. And they have all this stuff where like they're going to take your temperature before you get in the building, and they give you hand sanitizer. And if you look like you're unwell, like apparently even if you have like cold symptoms, they're telling you to go home. So that stuff is great, is good, I guess. But like, it does beg a question, like should they be running shows at all? And that was a hot topic on Twitter, and I don't really want to go deep into that because I'm sure if you're listening to this, you're probably about as tired of reading and hearing about the fucking coronavirus as I am. So I just kind of want to just talk about some wrestling once we get past this little introduction, I guess. I mean, when we're talking about what's going on in our lives, there's nothing else, basically. So can't avoid it there. It's like that is our lives here in the United States right now, is just the coronavirus. But I mean, I guess the bottom line on whether or not they should be running shows in Japan, if I was in charge, I would probably say no. But, I can understand from their perspective. It's like, well, the government gave a very, what's the best word for it? Like a very wishy-washy statement the day before, and they were basically like, well, we still want them to maybe reconsider the need to hold big events, but in areas where they're not hit hard by the virus, it might be okay, and we're thinking of bringing schools back. So they were very much like, they did not, it was not like before they said, do not hold events. So I get why, like, basically all these wrestling promotions heard a very, ambiguous statement from the government, and we're like, we're bringing back wrestling then, fuck it. And I get it, I guess, but, I am very scared of, the idea of finding out that, Takeshita has COVID-19 and spread it to the DDT locker room on this show. That would worry me. And even though they have very few cases in Tokyo, there's still other, especially compared to the amount of people in Tokyo, there's still hotspots like Hokkaido, which is slowly getting better, but Osaka and Hyogo Prefecture, which is where Kobe is, now look like they could be getting bad. So, I guess the best thing I can say is Japan is in no way out of it, but things look better there than they do in the U.S., certainly. So I think it's a defensible, if you're Shinshio Takagi, I totally get why you're bringing DDT back. And, he talked about it after the show where he's like, Cirque du Soleil just laid off 95% of their staff, and, we might have to do stuff like that if this goes on much longer. So, I kind of get it from his perspective. And if you're any of these promotions, it's like, well, all other promotions are coming back, so why can't we come back? That I get. Once one comes back, they're all going to come back. And there's some that never went away. We talked about, we're going to talk about Big Japan here in a second, who never went away to begin with. But like as far as the promotions that did take a pause and take a break, I get why. When one comes back, you're all going to come back. That makes sense to me. Amusement parks are reopening. Not all of them, but a lot of the smaller ones are reopening. Even though Tokyo, I don't think Tokyo Disney has said anything yet, or Universal Studios, but like a lot of the smaller ones that had closed are now reopening. I think this weekend or after this weekend, I read, and they're getting ready to bring a lot of schools back and stuff. So I get why it's like it's the best thing I can say basically is I wouldn't get too hard. I wouldn't be too hard on the people in charge of DDT or the people in charge of Stardom or whatever. Once at this point, it's like a nationwide thing. Like the country is deciding to reopen itself, to a certain degree. If that's a good or a bad decision, that's a totally different topic. And I easily think it could backfire on them. I mean, within a couple of weeks, we could be talking about how they all had to shut down again. I mean, that's very possible and that's very much on the table. But I don't think you can blame any individual promotion. I think it's more like just nationally, this is kind of what they're deciding to do. And whether or not you think that's a good thing, it depends on what you think of their lack of cases / lack of testing. And a lot of other stuff I don't really want to go into. But it's not any individual promotion just deciding to... To me, I don't get mad at Shinshiro Takagi. If I'm going to say it's a bad decision, you have to look at the Japanese government. Does that make sense? I talked a long time, but I don't know if any of that made sense.
No, it doesn't. I think I was saying a similar thing last week when we were talking about all the poor decisions people were making in the U.S. is that you have to put the onus on the government to not if the government's not cracking down on stuff like that, you can't be well they should just do close down everything or don't go here, don't go there. The government is the organization that should step in and say, okay, you can't run shows or you can run shows.
Yeah.
And the fact that they didn't do that and gave such a yellow light, I guess. They're yeah, it was, back and forth. What are you gonna do? I mean, we don't want you to run shows, but we don't not want you. It's maybe it's okay. It's when you have such a wishy-washy response, like you said, I feel like it's hard to blame promotions for coming back.
Yeah.
Especially like you said, when a lot of these promotions are probably, especially without corporate backing, are probably hanging out by a thread to begin with.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, look, the best thing you can say is at least fans are not coming back immediately. The numbers are still down everywhere, so at least they're spread out and hopefully not infecting each other as badly. I don't know. It is what it is, I mean, me speaking personally as someone who has a podcast to discuss this stuff and as someone who is locked inside their apartment, I hope it goes great. I hope they're all able to stay open without any kind of outbreak, and I hope I have Japanese wrestling to watch and talk about while I'm stuck in my apartment for the next 2 months. But do I think it was a great idea, and do I think they should have come back this soon, and am I very worried that they're just going to have to shut down again in a few weeks? The answer to all those questions is yes. So I hope I'm wrong, and I hope everything goes great in Japan. And there are societal reasons why the virus may have a harder time spreading there. First and foremost, being that every goddamn person in the country is wearing a mask, which I think people don't understand how much that actually can help. Because that America basically told everybody, don't wear a mask; it won't help you not get the fucking coronavirus. But the issue, first of all, the number one reason why they said that is because we don't have enough masks for everybody to wear. We don't have enough masks for our healthcare system, let alone for the entire country to buy and wear them. But the fact is that if everybody's wearing a mask, including the people who have the coronavirus and don't know it, the damn thing is going to have a harder time spreading. That's just basic logic. So yeah. I do think that probably is a big factor why things aren't as bad there, and the schools being closed down very early is probably another reason. But as things reopen, masks or not, I am very worried about them having a bigger outbreak. There are definitely signs of it in Osaka and Hyogo already. So they said it could be up to 3,000 cases within a week. So I'm worried. I definitely think we won't see if you have a promotion with shows scheduled out there. I think they are very likely to be canceled in the next month or so.
Yeah, I think even Big Japan was canceling shows there.
Yeah. So I think that's become the new hot spot. I think as long as the virus doesn't have a big outbreak in Tokyo, which is it's kind of amazing it hasn't, given how like half the country is in that Tokyo area, if you include Yokohama, which is like very close by. So the fact that they haven't had any major outbreak is pretty remarkable, and I think just as long as it stays that way, promotions will probably just stick to Tokyo and just run. Promotions run more shows in Tokyo than anywhere else, even when there isn't viral outbreaks anywhere else. So I'm sure they could survive just off of Tokyo, but I guess they'll keep running as long as they're able to, and if like it's the same thing like with these empty arena shows. Even if someone gets coronavirus in a wrestling promotion, that promotion probably will shut down. I mean, that probably is what shut down Dragon Gate, who was going to keep running. Is there was that report that Yosuke Santa Maria was sick. I don't know if she actually had the coronavirus, but anyway, happy talk. But let's move over to the actual wrestling shows, because at least that was more, at least we could talk about something other than a goddamn virus for 2 seconds. So the first show we're going to talk about is DDT Judgement, which took place on March 20th at Korakuen Hall. This is the DDT 23rd anniversary show. So if you're wondering, this show, moving to Korakuen had nothing to do with the coronavirus. I saw some people on Twitter that seemed a little confused about that, because normally this is a Ryogoku show, but basically what they decided to do this year was move Peter Pan from, last year it was an Old Award. Most years it's in Ryogoku as well. But they moved Peter Pan to Saitama Super Arena. So, June 7th, that's going to be a gigantic show at Saitama. And, they're still doing another Ryogoku show in November as like a doubleheader or a double weekend with Pro Wrestling Noah, who's now under the same banner. So, since they have a Ryogoku show and a much bigger show, they decided basically to move Judgment to Korakuen. In hindsight, that's a great decision. That works out really well with the coronavirus, because I think it probably was a lot easier to make the decision to hold this show still at Korakuen than it would have been at Ryogoku. But that's it, the actual decision to do that had nothing to do with the coronavirus. So the show drew 916 fans, which really isn't that much worse than a lot of DDT Korakuens. A lot of them draw around between 900 and 1100. I think this card in normal times probably would have drawn at least a few hundred more. Maybe closer even to a sellout. I'm not really sure, but nothing's going to sell out right now. So 916. I don't know how you feel about it, Thomas, but that was more than I expected.
Yeah, that's the second best Korakuen number of the month so far. Obviously, only behind Real Japan.
The very accurate.
Definitely did draw 1,069 fans.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
Number is not inflated at all.
Yeah, definitely a real number. But yeah, as far as the show itself, I think it was... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you'd like to think in normal circumstances this would sell out Korakuen. So...
I think it would at least 1,400, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have came close. Like, the 1,600 range, that's like a virtual sellout. And so the fact that it's still... the virus is still probably cutting 40% of the attendance or somewhere around there from the show. Shows you that it's still definitely a fear among the public in Japan, even if it's better than it is here.
Oh yeah, I know multiple people who live over there who've told me they're just not going to go to shows until they're more confident that the virus situation's under control over there. But yeah, so March 20th, that was yesterday, actually. Wow. So this was 11:30 a.m. on Friday because it was a national holiday over in Japan. It opened with an exhibition match, but Kasada Higuchi defeating Jordan Heatley with the Canadian backbreaker in 350. I did not see this. Did you see this?
I did actually. It was I want to say 3.5 minutes long. A standard squash. I thought Heatley actually looked pretty good. I don't believe I've seen him before. Maybe I have. But he looked good, and Higuchi's offense is really impressive looking, so this was a fun squash. Higuchi's a guy that we've been wanting to get a push for a while, and I was a little surprised at the end of the show that he wasn't the guy that ended up getting the title match, the next day upcoming title match against Masada Tanaka. But I feel like he'll be up near the main event scene, soon enough.
Yeah, Eruption's clearly designed to get him over. So the show opened proper with Yoshiaki Yatsu coming out to open the show. He'll be returning to the ring from a leg amputation. So basically, they designed him a special prosthetic, to specifically designed to wrestle with. So that's a pretty cool story. I mean, I'm sure we could all use a positive public interest story at this point. So that was a pretty cool little story. And he's going to make his return on June 7th at the Saitama Super Arena for Wrestle Peter Pan. I wanted to look up and see. I think I may have seen this guy wrestle in Chikara way back in the day. But I'm going to check now. I could be confusing him with someone else. But
this isn't the guy. I feel like there was another old guy that got injured in DDT.
Yeah. No, it's not Takayama. You're thinking Takayama, I think. Oh, I guess I'm confusing with someone else. Cage Match does not have him ever wrestling in Chikara, so I guess I'm thinking of somebody else. But the point is, either way, he is, in fact, a wrestler who's been around a while, and he hasn't wrestled since... Oh, wait, he wrestled in 2019. Wow, not that long ago. So he wrestled June 2nd, 2019 for DDT.
Yeah, I think he got hurt then or something.
So he's going to be...
I don't know.
Yeah. So he's going to be coming back with this special leg prosthetic at Peter Pan. So cool little story there. Like I said, we could all use a positive story right now. The opener was the Hideki Okatani debut match. Naomi Yoshimura and Keigo Nakamura defeating Shunba Katsumata and Hideki Okatani when Yoshimura pinned Okatani with a lariat in 6:01. I thought this was a fun little opener, a 3-star or so match. Not much really stands out except obviously, Yoshimura and his lariats and stuff. What'd you think of this opener?
I went 3 1/4 on it, so a little higher than you. I actually thought it was a really fun little opener. Shunma and Naomi Yoshimura's exchanges were very good. Okatani didn't, stick out that much to me. I think Kiko, on the other hand, is very good. He's obviously a little bit more advanced in this stage, at an advanced stage in his development. Mm-hmm. But DDT's dojo system has been, great for a while. So I have complete faith that these two will turn out all right.
The second match, so it was supposed to be an Iron Man heavy metalweight title delayed entry battle royal, but when Toru Owashi was coming out, and by the way, he had been champion for like 65 days, so he had this really long reign going, and he got pinned by Masa Takanashi with a schoolboy coming out for this match. So I'm like, yes, of course, that's the way a 65-day Iron Man title reign would end. But yeah, basically everybody rushed out at once, so they just turned it into a regular battle royal. So what happened here was basically Owashi, I think this was a virus joke, which I don't know if you're listening, you might not be ready for a virus joke, but that's what they did. Owashi and Yamato both rode up Masa and pinned him, so they're both champions. So we've multiplied from 1 to 2, and then Owashi, Watase, Yukio Naya and Danshoku Dino rolled up those two, so we went from 2 champions to 4 champions. So it's spreading, I guess. But Hirata says, basically, my mission is to reunify the championship and reign as king. So he was basically, Japan... To get this joke, I guess you need to know that, the Japan at one point was like a lot of little warring states, and, it took a shogun to, reunify the land and that kind of thing. So that was basically what Hirata was trying to do. He was trying to reunify the open weight, the Iron Man heavy metalweight title, and he had to do that slowly. He pinned Watase to become 1/4 of the champion. Then he pinned Yukio Naya to become half the champion. Then he pinned Antonio Honda to become 3/4 champion, and finally he pinned Danshoku Dino to become the full champion. And then, of course, he immediately lost the title to Toru Owashi. So just after all that, Owashi just fucking leaves the title. So
right back to him, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, the virus joke. A little too soon.
They're maybe it's just not too soon over there, but it did feel a little too soon over here. So
yeah, maybe.
But yeah, and they're also doing like a fucking a street match in a clinic with two old people to raise awareness. And I'm like,
to raise awareness.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, again, this might be. I mean, people laughed when they announced it, so I assume it's not looked at as poor taste there. But I'm like, okay. And over here while I'm locked in my apartment, I don't know how funny it is, but sure. Anyway, but yeah. So after that they disinfected the ropes, and especially the corner Don Shokudino's ass was out in for a long time, and the crowd started laughing. And, referee Matsuri was like, don't laugh. It's not, this is serious. We're trying to protect people's safety. But everybody thought it was a joke, basically. So, there you go. Match number 3, Shima, Soma Takao, Mad Paulie, and El Lindaman, the Business Alliance, which I love that name, defeating Shinya Aoki, Mao, Mike Bailey, and Makoto Oishii, when Soma Takao pinned Oishii with the Mad Splash and 924. This was fun. I'm glad Mike Bailey could get in the country before, he got into Japan, I guess, right before the 14-day quarantine thing started. So now if you come from Europe into Japan, you have to quarantine for 14 days. That's, I don't know if it's required or suggested, but it's definitely, you're supposed to do it either way.
I want to say it was required because I feel like there were a lot of people that were planning on going to Japan that canceled after that.
Yeah.
News came out on Twitter, yeah.
And then Lindaman, so this match itself, basically, Mao and Mike Bailey, of course, the Moonlight Express, they were able to reunite here since Bailey got in the country in time. The match itself, I thought it was pretty fun. The highlight to me was probably Lindaman attempting to do the Mike Bailey kicks like a dipshit, which was really funny. When he tried to basically
that was so good.
He has this look on his face that's Ellen is a great comedy wrestler, so
he's great.
Yeah, high marks for that. Then we got a Mad Splash train ending with everybody doing Mad Splashes. That was pretty great too, and it ended with Soma doing the last one. So I had a lot of fun with this 3 1/4. And, this is basically the theme of this show for me is going to be 3-star matches. So this was another one, 3 1/4.
Yeah, I'm slightly higher than you on this one again. I went 3.5. Great to see Mike Bailey back. I love the guy so much, and it's a shame that he had these issues, but he's back now. I know they're challenging for the tag titles pretty soon, so I'm just really happy about that because he's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Match number 4, Harashima, Naomichi Marufuji, and Yuki Ueno defeating Akito, Yuki Ino, and Royce Chambers when Harashima pinned Akito at the Somato in 10:33. First of all, I didn't see the Royce Chambers singles match from the dojo. So once he really got going here, I was like, I see why this man is so heavily hyped in the Voices of Wrestling Slack, because he is very flippy. And if there's anything the Voice of Wrestling Slack loves, it is men who flip. So he does a lot of flips, everybody. But, I mean, it's not a critique. He's very good at what he does, but, if there's, like I said, there's any wrestler quality that the general Voice of Wrestling populace loves, it is definitely flips. But yeah, I thought, again, 3 1/4 again, a fun little match. The best part was when Ino just started ripping dudes' heads off with lariats. Lariats, to me, are the flips for the Voice of Wrestling Slack. If you do a good lariat, I'm gonna love you. But yeah, it's a good little match.
Royce Chambers, I feel like I'm still unsold on him. I think he's decent at what he does. He's maybe even good at what he does. That's not the style that I personally identify with the most, similar to you. His singles match against Chris Brooks, I did see it. I thought it was good. Nothing to go out of your way to see, but it was good. And this was kind of the same level. It was this was a good little match. Definitely above average, but nothing to, get too excited over. 3 1/4 star range, which was, like you said, kind of the name of the game for this show for the most part. I'm Hiroshima and Marufuji teaming up at Peter Pan at Saitama, I think was announced a little later, so that should be fun. I think they worked pretty well together here, and I'm excited to see that.
Match number 5, Tetsuya Endo, T-Hawk, and Nobuhiro Shimatani losing to Kazusada Higuchi, Yukio Sakaguchi, and Saki Akai. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pinned Shimatani with the God's Right knee in 9:15. This may have been my match of the night. It's probably close between this and a couple others, all at the same rating. But this one I remember liking a lot, and I love Eruption. Pretty much really enjoy almost anything they do together, and I think they should be 6-man champions. I don't really know why they aren't, because they're the best 6-man team in this company by a mile right now. So it started out with everybody working over Saki, including a really hard chop by T-Hawk when he very carefully arranged her arms to either side and then just laid her out with this chop. And then eventually the Eruption dudes came in and really made the big comeback. And then Sakaguchi absolutely murdered Shimatani with that knee to the face. That was a great finish. I went 3.5. Lots of good action here. And afterwards, we got Royce cashing in his Anytime Anywhere contract on Endo, who holds the Saitama Super Arena sword, the sword to challenge for the KOD Openweight title in the main event of Peter Pan. So, what do you think of this one before I get to that little match?
I thought this was really good, just like you. I went 3.5, which is the same as you. Eruption, like you said, they're so good. I think I saw they're popping up in Ganbare in a show that's making a debut a couple days from now, which should be fun. This is one of my favorite units in wrestling right now, and I think the Business Alliance is also up there. But a really great match, like you said, and Sakaguchi, one of my favorites, and I'm glad that he got the pin here, and he'll be moving on to bigger and better things, I think, later on in the show.
For sure. After that, we had the cash-in match, which this was awesome. As far as a really quick sprint, Endo beat him to retain the contract in 4:42 with the Shooting Star Press. I liked how the DDT English account, DDT Pro _ENJ, he basically pointed out that Chambers is going back to Australia and no Japanese people can enter Australia right now. So he'd have because of the coronavirus. So he would have a great chance to retain this sword all the way to June 7th if he had won here. But it didn't happen. This was just a really crazy sprint with them trading Canadian destroyers and sunset flip power bombs and really packing as much as you can into under 5 minutes. And I thought Chambers was way more impressive here than he did in that 6-man tag. Mostly because he wasn't just flipping, basically. He was, he showed off a little more range in this little under 5 minute match than he showed in that 6-man. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I went 3.5 on this match, which is, hard to go that high in a match under 5 minutes, but I really loved it.
Yeah, I actually did the same. I went 3.5 on this. I love that it does a little sprint. High action. Still some flips. Still a very flippy match, but I enjoyed it. And we're getting how many? I don't even know how many of the gauntlets are left now. We're getting.
I think there's 3.
Down to there's 3 left plus the sword, or
yeah, I think so.
Because Sasaki cashed in and Chambers cashed in. I think that's it so far. Yeah. But yeah. Are you going to go on your rant again on how Chambers should have cashed in after the main event?
No, I already made my point, so I don't have to repeat myself. I'm very not a big fan of being repetitive, so there you go. The semi-main event for the DDT Universal title, Daisuke Sasaki defeating Chris Brooks with the crossover face lock in 2035. Brooks fails in his V1, and Sasaki becomes the second DDT Universal Champion. First of all, Sasaki in the pre-match video basically said, I can't deny that I'm an aging old dog, because Brooks would say he's going to put the old dog down. And he said, if I lose today, I'll quit Damnation and be Chris's young boy, drive him around and shit. But Chris Brooks has to pay for the car and pay Sasaki $4,000 a month. What the fuck? What kind of stipulation is this? If I lose to you, I will be your young boy, but you have to pay me $4,000 a month. Okay, I would like to lose a match with that stipulation too. But yes, Chris. So the match itself, I think you and I are going to be, from what I saw before, you and I are going to be very different on this one. I thought it was, it's not like I thought it was bad, but given what Brooks had done in DDT so far, and that Sasaki's normally awesome, I just thought it didn't really quite get to the level I thought it would be. It started out with some brutal stuff, like Brooks stepping on his wrist while it was stuck in the barricade, which made a very nasty sound. And they did a senton off the barricade for good measure. There was like the Russian leg sweep into the chairs, which looked like it really sucked. But then I thought it got really slow and boring back in the ring, and I thought Chris Brooks' selling left a bit to be desired during the Sasaki Heat segment. I think that's probably one of the weaker aspects of his game in general, and I just didn't think it was very good here. After that, it picked up, with a big double arm suplex by Brooks, and then kind of went down again. I just feel like that was a big spot, but it never really got going after that. And then the run-in started, and sometimes the Damnation run-ins land with me, and sometimes they don't. And this one, at the end, and with a 20-minute match that I didn't love up to that point, it really just took me down even more. But once after that point, it got really good again. Like after all the run-ins, and there was this big giant sit-out tombstone and a diving knee strike for 2 counts, and it was really picking up. And Sasaki did like this awesome counter with a praying mantis bomb into the cross arm lock for the submission, so the finish was great. So if you just watched the last 2 or 3 minutes, you think this match was awesome, but the everything from when they got back in the ring until then, I thought was pretty eh. So I can't go higher than 3 1/4. There was the stuff in this match I really loved, but there was just so much that I just didn't think was very good or was pretty boring. So it's pretty much where I'm at with this one.
Yeah, like you said, I'm a lot higher than you on it. I definitely agree the peaks were very high. I just don't think the lows were as low, I think, as you thought they were. The work was slow at some points. I just never thought it got dull or boring, at least for me. And the run-ins, like you said, I'm the same with run-ins in DDT. They with Damnation and Sasaki. I mean, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. It worked here for me. I don't specifically know why it did, but I thought it added to the match of Brooks trying to overcome the quote unquote heel group, and then you had his tag partner Masa Takahashi coming out to fight them off, and I thought that was a good little side story within the match. And all in all, really good match. I ended up going 4 stars. My match of the night by a pretty wide margin. Yeah, I really loved it. Well, I shouldn't say really loved it, but I thought it was really good. The length was my biggest issue with it. I think you could have chopped off some of the time in the middle. But if it wasn't for that, I think I would have said it was a match you got anywhere to see.
The main event, the KOD Openweight title, Masato Tanaka defeating Konosuke Takeshita with the rolling elbow in 22:56. A little bit surprising, I think, but Takeshita goes down here. His second defense. So this is another one where I have big critiques with it, but the peaks again were very high. Before the match, Takeshita mentioned that Tomohiro Ishii versus Tanaka, I think from 2012 for the Never title in New Japan, is one of his 3 favorite matches ever. So it became very obvious what they were going for. But the problem was if they wanted to do that type of match, they just should have done that type of match and gone 15 minutes. The big issue was the fucking leg bullshit. I'm this happens a lot with Takeshita where he wants to do these leg matches and first of all, his selling is not at all the best part of his, same thing as Chris Brooks where Takeshita is not a world-class seller. I mean, he, especially when it comes to body parts, as far as selling and building a match, of a more quote-unquote normal match, he is good at that and he can. But his biggest strength to me is his offense, and the fact that he can do this high impact stuff and really, keep up a really strong match pace, and have these really strong and quote unquote epic matches. But his body part selling is not at all his strength, and Masato Tanaka works over his leg with a chair against the post early, and stays on it forever, but Takeshita, he's fucking clutching the leg 1 second, and then the next second he's totally fine, hitting his a picture-perfect corner drop kick using a chair, and then the next second he's back to clutching the leg, and then he just fucking forgot about it. I'm just don't do that fucking spot then. Why are you guys so... that's always my thing with the leg selling. I get when people are oh, well, you don't have to be a selling fetishist. It's pro wrestling is fake. You can decide what you're going to do. If you want to do a leg match, then just do a fucking leg match and make it work for the entire match. There have been leg matches that are my favorites ever. what the fuck am I thinking? Like, I think Takashita against Shima did like a fucking leg match where he actually was really good at selling the leg.
Yeah, it was that
Yeah,
like
like, and he actually like committed to it, and it played into the finish, and it was great. So I guess I shouldn't even say he can't do it because he did it once before. But like here, he was fucking awful at it. I think he has been awful at it in other matches too. So I don't know if the Shima one's just a fluke or what. But yeah, I loved that match, which I loved a lot more than a lot of people loved it. And another one, Naito and Michael Elgin, I went 5 stars on. That was a leg match.
Love that match.
Yeah, and it's like when a leg match is good, a leg match is really good, but you have to fucking first of all, it has to be the entire thing, and it has to play into the finish. You can't just do. I mean, if you want to do a couple leg moves and then move on, it's one thing. But you can't fucking slam a chair into a leg and, act like you've been shot and then just immediately like, oh, never mind, leg's fine. It's like, well, then why did you this is fake. Why did you do that then? Like, why did you choose to do that spot? Just don't do that spot and don't fucking act like your leg is falling off, and the rest of this match makes so much more sense and is such a better match. So that's why that's my big it's my big complaint. I hate when wrestlers do that, when they do the leg selling and they act like their fucking leg has been chopped off and the next second they're fine. It's like, if you want to do a leg match, do a leg match. If you don't want to do a leg match, you don't want to play into the finish, you just want to do the spots you want to do, then just don't do the fucking leg spots. It's really not that complicated. But yeah, I mean, at that point, everything after that was, really good. Tanaka with this, like, enormous lariat leading into a superplex, and then I should say everything was really good because there were still some spots that, like, I don't know, felt oddly forced to me. Like the repeated suplex no-sell spot that I think some people really liked, it just felt weirdly like we're trying too hard to be a certain type of match. It didn't really feel natural. There was still some stuff I really liked, like the ridiculous like air raid crash off the top and the turnbuckle pad by Takashita. That was awesome. The sliding D exchanges were really good. Everybody basically they both took turns hitting and ducking lariats, where Takashita finally hit one for 2. That was a really cool spot. And the ending was really good. And this is all like why I ultimately thought it was a good match, where like Takashita's like almost dead and he keeps trying to fire back up but like, Tanaka just fucking basically shrugs him off and hits one last rolling elbow for the pin as, Takashita basically just had nothing left. Like, all that stuff was really good, and it really made Takashita look more badass than he has in a lot of his wins, honestly, where like he just went down fighting basically. That the finish was really well done. And it elevated like a 1/4 star for me probably just with the finish. But I can't go. The highest I can go on this is 3.5. I mean, I think it was a good match. It had a lot of good stuff in it, but the leg stuff was so fucking bad. They just should not have done it. And like I said, some of it came off as forced. They definitely wanted this match to be more epic than it was, I think. So that's why I can't get close to 4 stars really, but it was a good, it was the stuff that, again, the peaks, the finish and the lariats and, the splashes and the air raid crash, like all that stuff was really good. But the leg stuff was just really drags it down for me, as does like that suplex no-sell spot I thought was kind of stupid too. So.
Yeah, like a lot of the spots felt like you said, forced or disjointed, or they were just doing spots to do spots because they thought it would look cool. Like the suplex no spot, like you said, I'm going for the Ishii Tanaka vibe, and the leg work. Like I'm not someone that is, like you said, a selling finish. Like that is not me at all. I can overlook it a lot of the time, but it was all that Tanaka did for the first 50-60% of the match, and it never played back in. There was one top rope basement drop kick to the other side that Takashita briefly held the knee after, and other than that, I feel like he never sold it again for the rest of the match. I was like, why did I waste my time on the first half of the match? Like, just do a little sprint if you're trying to get big Ishii match vibes, and just do that. Like the whole match just felt so disjointed and forced, and they were just going place to place. I never really could get into it, and yeah, I liked the finish a lot, but not enough to save it for me. I was just out of it watching this. It never really grabbed me until the ending. And so I gave it a gentleman's 3 because the moves with a Z were cool, and I really did enjoy the finish. But yeah, really under delivering for two guys that I normally really, really, really like. Yeah, just a little disappointing.
So there you go. Overall, you definitely have to call this a disappointing show. I don't know if some of the wrestlers just don't have a. I don't know. I mean, maybe some of the wrestlers just like weren't really feeling it yet. Maybe they need more time to get the rust off of working in front of people. I totally could see that, honestly. It wouldn't surprise me if that's the case. We'll see as more promotions come back in the next week if that's the case for other companies. But yeah, I mean, like, as far as the main matches, it just wasn't a ton here that, like, I would say you have to go out of your way to see. It's not like the show was bad because, we gave almost everything 3 stars. I mean, it was a perfectly enjoyable watch, but, like, definitely nothing you have to, like, rush out to see if you're not, especially if you're not a normal DDT fan. It was great to see DDT in front of fans, although, like we talked about at the start, the is this really a good idea part of, like, hung over everything, for me at least. But, other than that, was great to see them back in front of fans. But, just there wasn't anything here that, like, I think is, like, must watch. I don't know if you
I definitely agree with that assessment of the show. Like, a fine show that just, I mean, the first half of the show I thought was building up to, I mean, if the top 2, really if the main event delivered, I would come on here and call this a very good show, but the main event just kind of left a poor taste in my mouth. It was like, could have shaved some time off, could have, I'm not going to go on a rant again, but the main event, just like, if that had just like knocked it out of the park, like I know it could have, I mean, I would say this was a very good show. Still one of the better shows that we've gotten, since the wrestling hiatus. I would say not a crazy high bar to clear.
So if you're in, by the way, also should mention I haven't watched them yet, but Tokyo Joshi also came back on the March 21st, the next day at Itabashi Green Hall, and drew 210 fans. That's a really? almost selling that out. So a lot of people wanted to see Tokyo Joshi, I guess. That's
and then has another Miyu versus Natsumi Maki match. Yeah. So that'll be really good. I don't think that makes it for a couple of days. But
okay. So there you go.
I think it's delayed, yeah.
Gambare also had a show on the 21st at Itabashi Green Hall that drew 135 fans. So, a lot of people, and that's the one you talked about where Eruption worked the show. So what's coming up for DDT? The next show is on the 23rd. We have from Kanazawa Distribution Hall, as far as I know, that's still going ahead. The main event is Konosuke Takeshita, Shuma Katsumata, and Yuki Ino defending the 6-man titles against Tetsuya Endo, T-Hawk, and El Linda Man. So there you go. And then the 24th for Basara and Shinkiba First Ring has Masataka Nashi from DDT defending the Union Max title against Fuminori Abe. So
that's going to be good.
Yeah.
And then the next Korakuen is Tanaka Sakaguchi.
Yeah.
And,
I forgot to mention that.
Yeah. And Moonlight Express against Nautilus are the tag champs. Is that right?
Yeah. And also Tokyo Joshi has a March 28th Shinkiba show with Rika Tatsumi and Miyu Watanabe defending the Princess Tag titles against Maki Ito and Raku. So that was supposed to take place on March 1st. So, I mean, that finally got rescheduled for March 28th.
Do you know if Chris Brooks lives in Japan now?
I think he's there for like a year.
Okay, yeah. Because I was looking at DDT English Update was putting out just like some upcoming matches, and he's scheduled for a match in about a month from now. So I guess he's probably staying there, or they're not worried about the 14-day quarantine thing.
Yeah. Okay, so that's DDT. Let's move over to our other promotion that we're trying to talk about today, which is Big Japan. They had on March 16th, because again, Big Japan don't give no fucks about the coronavirus, the Dai Nippon Pro Wrestling 25th anniversary Stardust Superstars from Yokohama Bunka Gymnasium in front of 1,025 fans. So definitely not a good crowd at Yokohama for their 25th anniversary, but I mean, this March 16th, you're talking about, that's even before the Japanese government was like, maybe it's okay. That's like several days before they even made like the yellow light recommendation. Whereas like here, it's like, pretty much they should not be running the show according to the Japanese government. So I'm not surprised only about 1,000 fans decided to show up. They have plenty of space to social distance the show, it looked like. So, but yeah, as far as I'll start at the top and go down because there's really like only one match in the show that I really want to talk about that I have any.
The undercard was so fucking bad.
Well, we'll go through it. I actually thought the undercard was okay. The only thing I thought like some of the main matches were kind of like eh. But the main event, the death match heavyweight title, Ryuji Ito defeating Abdullah Kobayashi in 17-13 with the Dragon Splash to become the new champion. I don't have a lot of strong thoughts on this. I just thought, it was a generic Big Japan death match. It wasn't anything. I didn't listen to the Voice Wrestling flagship yet, but apparently they really. I know Joe Lanza in the Slack was saying he really hated this, so I guess I was expecting it to be a lot worse than it was. To me, it was just kind of there. I don't know. It wasn't it didn't really feel like a match that like I would not. It's nothing like a Takeda title death match where I'm like, you have to see this. This is really good. Forced plus stars, but it wasn't like, I fucking hated the experience of watching or anything. It was just a very generic death match to me. Like a lot of light tubes are broken. One with a splash off the top with the covered in light tubes. Just kind of run of the mill to me. I don't know. Nothing really stood out good or bad.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of a run-of-the-mill death match. I just really like run-of-the-mill death matches in Big Japan. I really do enjoy the house style, and I think they did some cool stuff. There were some brutal-looking spots with the chairs. I liked how they stepped on all the light tubes at the very beginning of the match, so no matter what they did, it would be in all the broken shards. I thought that was a nice little touch. I mean, if you're going to do a 25th anniversary match for Big Japan, I think we said this last week, Kobayashi and Ito is kind of the match to do. And I really enjoyed it. I went 3.5 stars. I think, looking for some positive because I really hated the rest of the show. This was my match of the night by a pretty good margin, which I know you don't agree with. But, yeah, 3.5 for me. I thought it was a good death match, but definitely not anything to go out of your way to see.
So here's the one where I am going to be the hot take master because I know apparently everyone else on Earth hated this match except for me. I really liked Daichi Hashimoto defeating Daisuke Sekimoto in 22-35 with a vertical drop DDT to retain the strong world heavyweight title, his third defense. Look, here's what I'm going to tell. I'm going to give you a bunch of caveats before I get into this. I went in with the lowest expectations possible because basically everyone I heard just said this match is awful, this match sucks, it's fucking terrible. So when you go into a match with the expectations that's going to be like the worst shit you've ever seen, that's going to affect your rating, right? That's going to affect your perspective on it because you're expecting it to be awful. So, first of all, I want to say that. Second of all, the live crowd did not like this match. So you have to say, like, whatever they were trying to do here did not work for the live crowd at all. They were dead for the vast majority of it. But in a vacuum, did I enjoy my 22.5 minutes watching this match? I did. I don't know what else I can say. I really liked it. Did I have a good time watching it? I did have a good time watching it. I mean, I have to be honest. I could come on here and tell you that I fucking hated it when I didn't to fit in with everybody, or I can give you my honest opinion. And my honest opinion is I had a good time watching it. I don't know if, when I post it in the Slack again, like, somebody replied and was like, I think this is finally the quarantine has already broken John's brain, which is very possible. But I really, there was this early feeling out process and striking, and I really liked all that stuff. It looked good and stiff, and both guys showed really good intensity. I thought they the match had a good internal logic with like Sekimoto, not selling a lot for Daichi early and just like clearly established himself as the dominant force in the match. It was definitely like, again, a little slow in plotting, and I can totally get why a lot of the people hated it. But like, I even liked Daichi's selling in Sekimoto's like holds, like most of the Boston crabs and stuff. I mean, the screaming is still very annoying, but I actually thought it was a little bit less annoying than it was in like a fucking Kohei Sato match from Sumo Hall last year that really sucked. I thought the screaming was weirdly like less annoying, and like the selling other than the screaming was actually like weirdly really good. So I have to give Daichi's credit there. Where Daichi really fell flat for me, and this is what keeps me from quite going 4 stars on it, is it sets up for the entire thing sets up for his big comeback, and the comeback was him hitting two very weak-looking Shining Wizards to no reaction. That was really bad, and I had to take the match down for that. It did roll when Sekimoto like blocked the third one with a lariat and like started killing him with more lariats. This match at that point almost felt like Sekimoto just beat this fucking geek and kill him. But then like when Daichi came back with like the next Shining Wizards, they were like a big improvement. I thought that at that point they started looking a lot better, just around the 20-minute mark. And then he runs in and gets murdered with another Sekimoto lariat. Daichi, he like. It almost looks like he gets lucky where he basically catches Sekimoto trying to go to the top and like just dumps him on the back of his neck with this brutal looking German. That looked great. And then he finally hits another Shining Wizard, which, again, it almost felt like that escalated really well. And like the last Shining Wizard looked the best of all of them. So that was good. And then hits the vertical drop DDT for the pin. I can't go 4 stars, but I was really close. I went 3 3/4. I really liked it. I will be the only person on this island. I don't care. I thought it was really good. Go ahead, Thomas.
Until Jack Beckman watches the match.
What'd you say?
I said until Jack Beckman watches the match, he'll go 4 3/4. So. But yeah, I'm not as low as some people on this, but I do think you just have dog shit taste in wrestling. No, it really wasn't that bad. It was fine. I mean, I'm not gonna bury it. The crowd was non-existent. Like you said, some of the Shining Wizards at the start looked really bad. I thought the screaming was not good. But I thought, they got me into it at some points. Daichi's selling is always pretty good outside of the screaming. I think that's generally true. And I think, the Big Japan strong style is something that always appeals to me. So, the lariats and suplexes and everything, they got me. I was unspoiled on this, and they got me on a Daisuke German, which Daichi kicked out at the very last second, and I thought that was good. All in all, I don't think I could call it a good match. I thought it was a better than average match. I went 3 stars on it. I didn't hate it, so I'm sorry I can't bury you, John, as much as I want to. I feel like everyone's going to be screaming at their phones right now. But I can't bury this. Daichi's a guy that I used to be a Daichi defender, and then last year I hated him, and then this year I'm like slowly like crawling back towards.
That's exactly where I am too, because I liked his match a couple weeks ago too. Like I don't think he's not great. I mean, he's not. You could argue he's not even good, but I don't think he's like the worst fucking wrestler on the earth, like some people seem to think. So, I mean, there are so many wrestlers that annoy me a lot worse than Daichi this year.
Yeah.
So.
No, yeah, he's not like uniquely bad. He does some things that annoy me, but he's not like awful. And yeah, I went 3 stars. Like, I didn't love it, but I thought it was fine. I thought it was one of the better matches of the show.
It was the match of the night by a mile for me.
I was my number 2 match of the night.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, not a high bar because I really did not enjoy the undercard.
The show is bad, by the way. There's no need to watch this show. Like, first of all, I can't even recommend this one in good faith because, like, as far as, like, most people are listening to this are going to hate it. Like, and the only way you'll like this match is if you're the type of person who can enjoy a wrestling match that the live crowd clearly doesn't give a fuck about. So if you can't enjoy a match that the crowd doesn't give a fuck about, then you're not going to like this match. And you also have to be able to be the type of person that, like... So you have to be a modern WWE fan, I guess is what I'm saying. But, like, you have to be, like...
John, the truth comes out.
You have to separate, like, the match from the crowd reaction to be able to like this match. And you have to be, like, very into, like, the Big Japan strong style, the strong, world title style, like, Thomas just said he was also into. I'm also like, I love that match style. Some of my favorite matches are in that style. So, I'm gonna like this more than your average person. But like, if you're not into like a slow heavyweight match that builds and builds and builds, and it's always logical. It always makes sense. Like, everything pays off at the end. There's no fucking phantom leg selling or anything else. Even when it's not exciting, it all makes sense. The problem is that, like, the reason why I couldn't go 4 is, like, the stuff that's boring is pretty boring. The crowd really does hurt it at times. And those fucking first two Shining Wizards to start that comeback looked good, I mean, I might have gone more than 4, but like they fucking look so bad.
They look really bad.
Yeah, and that like to me is the ultimate flaw of this match. Is those fucking Shining Wizards look like shit. So I can't go higher because of that. But like Sekimoto, I thought was fucking awesome in this match. Like I thought he was like,
great.
Yeah, he was so good. So anyway, I have to be fair. I can't come on here and tell you I hated the match when I really liked it. It was probably the best match. It's the best match we're going to talk about on this show apparently. So I liked it better than anything on the DDT show. It just felt like I don't know. Maybe I want to give the proper credit. It was Taylor who said maybe the quarantine is driving me insane. So shout out to Taylor, formerly frequent guest, now has his own show on Joshi Jumping Bomb radio, right? Isn't Jumping Bomb Audio, I think.
Jumping Bomb something, yeah.
Jumping Bomb something. I listened to the first episode. I don't remember what it's called. But yeah. But there you go. So as far as that, I mean, that's really the only match I have anything to say on this fucking show. I mean, but we'll go through the rest of it anyway. I mean,
until this match, my highest rated match on the show was 2 3/4 stars.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing.
It's not great.
Yeah. So match 6 was the Scorpion and Cactus death match. Minoru Fujita and Josh Crane beating Toshiyuki Sakuda and Takumi Tsukamoto in 12:26. If you want to talk shit about a fucking death match on this show, this is the one to talk shit about. I think this was pretty fucking terrible. I mean, all that Scorpion bullshit. I really like. I don't know. I don't really have a ton to say about this except like there would be some good spots and it would get going, and then that fucking Scorpion tank shit would just grind it to a halt. Like watching a guy like slowly put another man's head into a Scorpion tank is not interesting. I'm sorry, it's not fun. It's not entertaining. I don't want to watch. I don't watch fucking Fear Factor. I don't care. Like it just doesn't work for me. So it's not a good reason to have a wrestling match. So
yeah,
it wasn't a big fan.
It was not. And we should mention, I think Minoru Fujita, who was in this match, came out after the main event to challenge Ito for the deathmatch title. I think that match is going to be on the Endless Survivor show, which is another Yokohama bunker show most years.
Yeah.
So if you're into Minoru Fujita,
it's on May 5th.
May 5th, yeah. So that is Endless Survivor. That's like always when that is. Yeah.
Yokohama bunker. Which, by the way, this is the same building where their very first show was, but that's a cool little sign. But this building's going to close soon, so they got to get all their Yokohama bunker dates in they can.
I think they're doing it like 4 or 5 times this year, which is crazy.
Yeah. So this is the next match, I guess, is one of the ones I liked better than you, which is the Scramble Bunkhouse 4-way tag team death match with Yankee 2 Kenju, Yuko Miyamoto, and Isami Kodaka defeating Takashi Sasaki and Yuki Ishikawa. Masaya Takanashi and Drew Parker, and Ken Kuro Hoshino and Masato Inaba in 9:13. A moonsault press by Miyamoto on Hoshino. This really was one of those death matches. It's not really a death match. It was just a hardcore tag match. But I had a good time. I mean, like I went 3 1/4 on it. I thought it was a fun little hardcore tag match. I mean, Yankee 2 Kenju are almost always awesome, and they were here. I thought they really carried this one for me. I enjoyed this one. I mean, nothing like you have to run out and see, but it was good enough for me.
No, they definitely carried it. I went 2 3/4. I don't really remember anything that happened, other than Yankee 2 Kenju being, very good as always. A fine little match.
Match 4, Kamikaze, Ryoto Hama, and Yasufumi Nakanoe beating Yujiro Kobayashi, Ryuichi Kawakami, and Kazumi Kikuta in 9:33. It was the Okido press by Hama on Okabayashi. So interesting that Okabayashi was the one who got pinned here.
Why is he taking pins?
I don't know. This was like the ultimate just a match. I mean, I didn't even take any notes about it at all. Like nothing stood out to me in this 9.5 minutes. I went 2.5.
I also went 2.5.
Match number 3, and I guess this is also another one I liked more than you. Anryo, Shinobu, and then the Speed of Sounds, Osugi, and Banana Senga, beating Yuya Aoki, Kazuki Hashimoto, Tatsuhiko Yoshino, and Kodaseki Fuda in 7:38. Shinobu with the sex on Aoki. Look, this was a fun little junior multi-man. The highlight of the match was probably everybody colliding and Anryo's dust going flying. I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was good enough. Definitely nothing that nothing I got to run out to say, but a fun enough undercard match.
I went 2 3/4, so slightly under you. Who'd you say got the pin? It was...
I think it was Shinobu.
Shinobu, yeah. So, Aoki's the champ, so I assume that'll be a title match down the line. potentially, which should be good. I like both guys. So
Match 2 is Tajiri Kazuhiko Matsuzaki and Hiroyuki Kondo defeating Great Kojika and the Brahmins in 801. This, like I said on Twitter, this gives you one of those 2020 questions. Are the Brahmin brothers wearing these surgical masks for comedy purposes or out of a legitimate fear of contracting a deadly virus? You said you had answers for me, Thomas. What's your answer?
well, John, I did DM the Brown brothers, but I did not get a response by the time of recording.
Okay,
So.
there you go. But yeah, this is a match that happened. Not one of the better Brahmin matches.
It wasn't. I didn't think it was bad.
Okay, I didn't think it was bad or good. I thought it existed.
It existed, which I'm not a Brahmin lover, so that's all I can ask for Brahmin matches.
The opener was Kishin Kawabata beating Yuichi Taniguchi, the same opener for the very first Big Japan show 25 years ago. And like last time, Kawabata won. This time in 7:57 with a second rope diving senton. It was a very slow old guy match. What do you want me to tell you? They tried.
It sucked, but I mean, it was kind of cool that they did the same match 25 years later.
Yeah. The dark match was it was Oka Udo, Takahiro Kato, and Akira Hayato defeating Hiroshi Kamitani. Why the fuck is Kamitani in dark matches? And Takahiro Nomura, why is he in a dark match? It was like, what the fuck? And they lost.
John, he challenged for the strong title less than a month ago, and now he's in the dark match, losing to a team with young guys getting the pin. Like, the Takuya Nomura just disaster, for Big Japan. It's just impossible to watch. Like, please just leave the company, Nomura. Like,
and Kamitani too should fucking leave.
That's true. Like, you look at the Okami tag team, and it's like one guy's in the semi-main event and one guy's in the dark match. Like, you watch those tag matches where they're together. I mean, it's not like Daichi is like blowing Kamitani out of the water.
Yeah.
I think it's,
Whatever. But yeah, Kosuke Sato was the one who got pinned. I mean, this was fun while it lasted. Hard hitting. I enjoyed. I went like 2 3/4. It was better than a lot of stuff on the main card.
I thought it was kind of whatever. But.
Yeah. But yeah, so the other note I made was the opening video of like relatively upbeat music set to a montage of like a lot of truly horrifying deathmatch spots was quite something. But there you go. Big Japan 25th anniversary. Not what I would call a good show. Nothing I can really recommend because even like I said, the semi-main, which I really liked, I think most people will not like. So definitely skip that show unless you're already that hard up for content when you're we're all in lockdown for the next. Like if you watch it in the next 6 months, especially if Japanese wrestling grinds to a halt again, I guess I don't blame you. But whatever.
Yep. Big Japan, they had 2 shows today and yesterday. Both are going to make tape. So that's the first 3 days of the Strong Climb are all making tape.
March 20th making tape on Nico. When's that make tape?
April 2nd, it says.
Wow,
so
it takes a while.
Yeah.
It's going to make tape after the next one. So
yeah, that's day 3 will make tape like a full week before day 2.
So that is a good transition because let's talk about what we're going to talk about the next week's Omakase, which you're not coming back, Thomas, but I'm going to come back.
What?
So.
John?
I already have a guest lined up. I'm not going to make you do this every week. But yes, next week we have All Japan returning. Oh, we should mention Noah returned on the 21st, so Noah is also back.
Oh, did they? I didn't see
they came back for a show in where the fuck was it? Let me see. It was in the Yamada Green Dome Maebashi Sub-Event Arena, and it drew 206 fans. So Noah is back. 0-1, of course, never left. So the only promotion not running right now is New Japan, and they haven't announced anything. We assume we might hear something on Monday because New Japan almost never announced anything on holidays, and Friday was a national holiday. So maybe you'll hear something from them Monday or Tuesday if they're going to run Sakura Genesis on the 31st. It has not been canceled yet. But yeah, so Noah's back. All Japan's coming back on the 23rd. So that'll be at Korakuen Hall. And Gaora just announced they're not going to tape it. Gaora is still refusing to air these shows during these coronavirus outbreak. But it is going to air on AJPW.TV. I assume no Gaora means it's going to be single cam, but I'm not 100% sure. I guess we'll find out. But the main event is Kento Miyahara defending the Triple Crown against Suwama. The semi-main is the All Japan World Junior Heavyweight title. Susumu Yokosuka from Dragon Gate defending against Izanagi. Of course, he's from the new Purple Haze unit, or what the hell they're called. Is that right, Purple Haze? I think so.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Third from the top, the All Asia Tag titles, Jake Lee and Koji Iwamoto against Izami Kodaka and Yuko Miyamoto, Yakitu Kenju. I'm really excited for that. That could be really great.
That's going to rock. Jake Lee has been killing it this year, and I feel like not a lot of people have taken notice.
Yes,
so
Jake Lee's been good, and Yakitu Kenju always rule. So
yeah.
You have the Road to the 2020 Champion Carnival, which as of now is still on. Zeus, Yuma Aoyagi, and Kai taking on Ryuji Sai, Ayato Yoshida, and Gianni Valletta, who made it into the country before they shut down all travel from Europe or whatever, the 14-day, quarantine we were talking about. So good for Gianni Valletta, I guess. You have Jun Akiyama, Omori, and Osamu Nishimura against Yoshitatsu, Tajiri, and Jinsei Shinzaki making a rare appearance. Shuji Ishikawa, Yusuke Okada, and Hikaru Sato against Black Menso Ray, Francesco Akira, I guess also made it into the country. I haven't heard anything that he hasn't. And Sukataka Sato. And there you go. And I don't even know what the 5th Ashinaro Cup is. But apparently that's...
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I don't know. I see a tweet from All Japan's English account. I think that's an unofficial account saying Rising Hayato, Dan Tamura, Hokuto Omori, and Atsuki Oyagi gathered for today's Ashinaro Cup conference. And I think they're in a tag match.
Okay.
To open the show. So maybe it's whoever gets the pin or whichever team gets the pin. So it's apparently a proving ground for the young stars.
Okay.
So
there you go.
We'll see.
That'll be their opening 2 matches, the SNR Cup. So we got some All Japan action to look forward to this week. That'll be coming up on Monday, the 23rd. So All Japan returns. Stardom returns to Reading with fans on the 24th for the Princess Cup, which is a one-night... Oh, the Cinderella Tournament. What am I saying? Princess is Tokyo Joshi. The Cinderella Tournament, which is a one-night tournament with... I'm trying to remember what are the exact rules again? It's like
5 minutes. It's like 5 minutes,
right.
And you can do pin submission or over the top rope.
And then after the 5 minutes, they just both eliminate, right? There's no
there's no tiebreaker like Tokyo Joshi.
Okay, that's what I was trying to remember. But yeah, so it's pin submission or over the top rope. So it's a one-night tournament. The winner gets whatever title shot they want. The show is going forward fans, which you would think is a good sign for New Japan. It's the same parent company, and Stardom actually shut down before New Japan did. They shut down their with fan shows before everybody else started shutting that down. But yeah, so the Cinderella Tournament round 1, you have Momo Watanabe versus Starlight Kid, Jungo Kiona versus Julia. That should be pretty good. Konami versus Azumi. That could be awesome for a 5-minute match. Sayuri against Jamie Hayter. Tam Nakano, if she's in the country. Tam Nakano and Saki Kashima. Saya Kamitani and Natsuka Tora. Utami Hashishida versus Maika. They reigniting that feud. And finally, Mayu Iwatani against Hana Kimura, which could be awesome. And then the rest of the card will be the second round, the semis, and the finals. The first round will air live on YouTube. So that'll be 5:30 a.m. Eastern on the 24th, which is Tuesday. So only the first round now. And the rest of the show, basically the new thing they're doing is instead of making us wait for like all the translations and everything, they're going to put the entire show up. They said, by midnight Japan time, the same day on Stardom World. So the show will be available to see the entire thing by midnight Japan time. And then the show with translations and stuff will come later in the week. So I guess that's going to be the new thing. But there you go.
Yep. All right. Yeah.
And then I think what was the other show we're talking about next week? Oh yeah, and the Big Japan, March 21st Korakuen, which is going to air on March 28th on Samurai. So that will be the third night of the Strong Climb. So that airs almost exactly a week from today. So, once I'm sure it'll make people upload it and stuff. Once it hits the airwaves. So there you go. That's what's going on right now. There is, for now, plenty of Japanese wrestling to talk about. So as long as that continues, I will continue talking about it here. There's a lot of stuff to look forward to. But like I said earlier, I'm trying to keep in mind that all of this could be shut down again any day. So,
John will go to talking about WXW.
No, great. Well, they're not running either, are they?
Probably not.
No, Europe is shut down too. I mean, John will go to talking about anime or something. That's what John will go to. Like, we'll do some Gundam Wing talk. I really don't know what I would do if they shut it down again. I guess we'll see. I mean, I'm
01 will never shut down.
01 will never shut down. There'll always be Big Japan 01. All right, folks. Thank you all for listening. Thomas, give me some plugs.
Follow me on Twitter at Wrestling. It's just, I was reading something about the virus. Just like, the good way to look at it is don't think about it as, you could get it. Pretend like you already have it and don't spread it to other people. Don't be a dick because you might have it and not know it. So, yeah. Just be a good person. Don't do stupid things.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, we're all going to have to get through this, That's all there is to it. It's made me, I'm not going to lie, it's made me very depressed this week, especially when I keep looking at Twitter and seeing, what's going on in Italy and now what's going on in New York. And I've had to really try to disconnect myself as best I can because it just, I'm the type of person that cannot stop reading about this stuff for whatever reason. Just, I don't know if it's a control thing or what, but like I have to, like, even though it's making me sad, I just keep reading it. And that's very much, it's not good. I think we all have to get better at, taking care of our mental health and not reading this stuff when it's upsetting. But, I'm just trying to I'm just trying to keep in mind, like I said on Twitter earlier, like, we're going to be stuck here for a while. We're not going to be able to go out and enjoy ourselves. But like Thomas is saying, it's for the good of everybody. It's something we're going to have to get through, whether it's, I mean, in my head, I'm thinking at least 2 months for the strictest stuff. It's really like our lives are going to be impacted for probably, more like 18 months until we have a vaccine. But like, all we can do is stick together and hope to get through it. And, it is what it is. There's nothing anyone else can do about it except, I'm kind of trailing off here. But like, there's no point in getting yourself upset about it because, there's nothing you can do. Right. So we all have to just get through it together, get through it the best we can. I'm going to start trying to really like focus on learning Japanese again and look at it as an opportunity to do that. And, hope I have a job still, as long as I still have a job, I'm one of the lucky ones compared to a lot of people I know already. So, it is what it is. Just have to trust we'll get through it and, be thankful we're not one of the people sitting in an ICU. So, I'm really, I have to stop reading about those because it's really like absolutely horrifying. So I hope everybody listening to this is healthy. I hope if you get the coronavirus, you're one of the people that has mild symptoms or, just has a more like flu-like symptoms. I hope you don't get pneumonia, and I hope it doesn't affect any of your family. The same kind of stuff I said last week. My heart goes out to everybody, and I hope we all get through this together. I keep saying that over and over again, but that's the only thing we can say is like we have to get through this together. And the goddamn U.S. government has to fucking do something, get off their ass and help people because a lot of people are suffering just for. Not even just the people in the healthcare system, but just people who are losing their jobs and stuff. So we'll see. All right, folks. Yep. On that very positive note, thank you for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at Wrestle Omakase. Wrestling Did Not Fit. Next week, I'll be recording with TJ from the One Wrestling Podcast. Originally, we were going to talk about the Wrestle One. Oh. I'm sorry?
I just said, oh no.
Yeah, we were going to talk about that Wrestle 1 March 15th show that was supposed to air on the 23rd, which is why I scheduled him. But the show is not airing because, as we mentioned, Gaora decided not to tape this month because of the coronavirus. So, but there's still 3 shows to talk about. All Japan.
Yeah, 3 good shows, yeah.
All Japan, Stardom, and Big Japan we just mentioned. So we're going to talk about those. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about Wrestle 1 coming to an end and all that stuff. So there you go. All right, folks. Thank you, as always, for listening, and, stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.